Want some candy?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. I'm all out of bubblegum.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
I hear you looking for candy, man, bitch.
Give me some sugar, baby. Like scary movies.
Want some candy?
Dog will hunt.
Happy Thanksgiving, you dog dicks! Welcome back to another episode of Monster Candy Podcast with myself, Screaming E from the Memphis Murdermen, Oubliette Sparks, and Dominic Dabby from Tsunami Bomb. And
Back like a rash. Back like a rash you can't get rid of.
That's it. And we're here to talk about Tobe Hooper's follow-up to his 1974 classic, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We're going to talk about The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, bitches. But first, there's other things we need to talk about, and those things are... Horror News! Brought to you by Time Bomb Toys, located at 300 Camp Horn Road in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Check them out in person and or online or both.
They're the best.
TimeBombToys.com, Pittsburgh's horror shop.
And if you're in Pittsburgh and have nowhere to stay, they'll let you stay there.
100%.
Just head on over.
There's a fucking, like a spa next to it where you could go get waxed.
Ooh.
Or located in the same little thing. Yeah, there's all kinds of... Maybe they do happy endings. I don't know. I've never inquired.
He does not know.
I do not know.
Official statement.
I've never gotten a happy ending at the salon spa across the hall from Time Bomb Toys. Ever.
Wow.
Not once or 7 times.
He's never talked about it.
Ever. So yeah, check them out, guys.
Wow.
Horror News. Dom.
That commercial.
Dom's buying his plane ticket right now.
It took a turn that I did not expect.
Well, that's what happens when you come on here, Dom. You know this.
Have you been to Pittsburgh, Dom? Have you been to Pittsburgh?
I have been to Pittsburgh. I have.
Why would you be surprised?
Yeah. Get your pierogies stuffed and or butter.
Valerie, my fiance, is also from Pittsburgh, as E. Wells knows, and is also recently came to realize that the Bay Area is woefully inadequate Polish food.
Dude,
and hurts her.
There's been 2 restaurants and they've both closed, and both were in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. They weren't bad, but yeah.
She's like, how is the Bay Area with so many types of food, like so underrepresented for Polish food? She was like, she found these like pierogies that we ate, like, and they were good. Like, she found some and put together a dish, and it was really good. But she was just like, why do they not have these here? What is wrong with you? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. All us Polacks went to Southern California. Down there, they got some good Polish restaurants.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's one. It's either in Burbank and or around Burbank or not too far from it. But that one was all right.
Yeah.
But, us East Coast Polacks.
Yeah.
While our old Polish grandmas were authentically Polish, they were also American. And there's things we use here in America that us young, American with Polish blood descendants enjoy more than authentic, and that's butter. Like lots of it, especially in Pittsburgh. Like lots. Like a pound of butter for like 7 pierogies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. I mean,
yeah.
If anybody's wondering why does restaurant food taste so good, butter. is one of the reasons. It's probably the reason.
Yeah.
Butter is the reason.
It never ceases to amaze me, like going out to eat with someone who's obviously never worked in a restaurant, and they're talking about, how they're on a diet or trying to eat healthy or whatever, and they'll order like a giant salad with grilled chicken and think that that's going to be just like what you would make at home. That fucking dressing Just, I mean, the oil content of most dressings is so fattening, but that chicken has been sitting in salt water for like, we don't even know how long in most restaurants. Like, because most aren't buying fresh from the farm. Where I work, we buy fresh from the farm.
That's
When I
right.
worked at chain restaurants, shit sits in a vac sealed bag for like a fucking month in salt water.
Yep.
There's
Yeah.
and every other kind of weird preservative and shit they put in all of that. Like things that seem healthy, depending on what you're eating, are not necessarily. So, like, there's times that you could be eating a big old plate of fucking nachos and it'd be better than your grilled chicken salad.
Right.
And that was horror news from
Yeah.
But
Polish
it's true.
edition.
It's
Yeah.
totally true, though. People don't think about that when they go to restaurants and stuff about like, oh, I'm gonna get something healthy. And I was like, are you? Are you sure?
Are you
Yeah.
really?
You know, it's like there's a reason it tastes really good. And the reason is
Yeah.
butter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
butter and then like places that
butter and
use
oil.
processed garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, salt and butter are both delicious.
Yes. And together they're like the best.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no. One of the greatest days of my life was when my immunologist told me that one thing that will help my disease more than anything is eating salt.
Yeah.
He's like, never let a doctor tell you to cut down your salt. He's like, eat as much salt as you can. And I was like, can you write that down?
Yeah.
Sign that
I mean,
on an
salt,
official piece of paper.
salt's good and it keeps you hydrated. We like
But
both
it's
of them.
crazy because I just got blood work done and my sodium was like fine.
Yeah.
So maybe my body just like destroys it. I don't know. I eat a lot of fucking salt and I keep
mean,
emergency salt in my purse, like a lot of
Yeah.
salt.
You have emergency salt?
Yeah, you want to see it?
Yeah, I want to see your emergency salt.
Whoa, yeah.
You know, just when
Pull
you
out
think
that
you've known
emergency
somebody
salt oubliette.
as long as you have, and then you still are able to find out new things. Oh my God, that's some good. See, now in that kind of container, it's good salt. It's the kind
This
that you have to
is-
unscrew.
Buoy Rescue Salt. It's a pure, unrefined sea salt.
Mm-hmm.
And this
So if
jar
you
has about
collapse-
45 servings. No, after I mean, obviously after I was diagnosed and like you know how bad off I was in Southern California and all that.
Yeah.
This can pull me out of that.
Really?
Right.
Oh,
Yep.
This makes sense.
Yeah,
And,
you're-
and like liquid IV and this.
That's why
A lot of it.
there's athletes that instead of drinking all this, like, oh, we're gonna take these hydration tablets or blah blah blah, they'll just drink pickle juice.
Oh yeah. Which is crazy because like when I was a kid and I used to not feel great, I used to drink pickle juice out of the
Mhm.
jar and my parents never knew why. I think I was just like figured out that salty stuff made me feel better.
Yeah,
Nature finds a way.
it is vinegar, salt. It's good, but do not eat. Everyone, stay away from the red Himalayan sea salt. One, it's just made from giant blood and giant's muscle. That's how they get it. But a lot of it comes from China, and there's so much like heavy metals
You mean
and
the
iron in
pink Himalayan salt
Yeah.
or the red?
the pink.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're refining it. I mean, I guess there's some if you can find it from other places, not China. But a lot of that shit comes because they don't care. So they're
Yeah.
like,
No, they don't. Yeah.
Here, you want some iron?
Now I have to look at mine
Yeah,
because my salt is pink. Well, not my emergency salt, my other special salt.
right.
Not the emergency
That's
salt. The emergency salt straight from the sea.
No, this
Uh,
isn't Himalayan.
Yeah. It looks
This
cool.
is unrefined mineral salt.
Yeah,
It's
it
unlike
sounds
any
great.
salt
And
on Earth,
it's from
according to the
Utah.
package.
There you
Ah,
go.
That's
Yeah,
probably a Mormon salt.
there you go. You could
The best
it
kind.
comes with special magic underwear and
Utah's finest salt on the earth.
instructions
nobody-
on how to soak. And
I guarantee nobody expected this to be a topic we were talking about when they tuned in to this episode of Monster Candy Podcast. Did you expect horror news about food? Bitches, that's why you have to buckle up. for
Salt
this show.
combo.
I mean,
I have 4 more kinds of salt I could bring out if you want to talk about where they're from.
from pierogies to
Butter.
Mormon salt.
Yeah.
And everything
We
in between.
got it all. We got
Got
it
it all.
all. And happy endings.
Yeah,
So
man. Spas,
you
man.
can get a happy ending while eating a butter soaked pierogi with Mormon salt
There you go. And
at
instructions.
Time Bomb Toys,
Yeah.
which is why you should go to Time Bomb Toys.
They got it all.
That's their new tagline right there.
I'm gonna tell
Time
Bob,
Bomb
be like,
Toys.
hey, Look, you're probably gonna have a bunch of people come in to the shop looking
Pierogies
for
and
pierogies
handies.
and handies and
Butter.
your butter and Mormon salt. So
Get 10% off at Time Bomb
yeah.
Toys with the code pierogi handy. I
Oh,
don't know.
dude, thanks for reminding me because they're having a Black Friday sale. So
Oh, so
when this
yeah.
comes out, yeah,
Do
check
you
it out.
get pierogies?
Pro- I mean,
Handies? Butter
yeah,
handies?
I mean,
Salty pierogies?
the man wants to make
yes.
sales. It's a competitive market.
Now
Great.
I'm not offering Bob up to give some handy J's, but maybe I am. So
Dude, you're gonna get a call, and this sponsorship's gonna get pulled. He's like, "What is
or
this
he'll be
about me
like,
giving
dude, I made
handy?
so much money.
My
This
hand
is my new
hurts.
thing.
I got a
Whatever.
He's
cramp
not
on my
said he
hand."
wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I've never heard him say those words, so there was not a I won't do that. Anyway, horror news, guys. Who's got some?
Well,
Dominic does.
Yeah, he does.
I was trying to find something right before this episode, and then I couldn't, and then I found out I didn't know this, which is sad because I'm like, I'm a horror guy, but I didn't know this. Popeye the Slayer Man is coming out, and you can watch the gory Red Band trailer because it's that. Now, I find this both horrifying and depressing and awesome at the same time, but it's apparently there's two. That's the other thing. ITN Studios is also doing one, so that's amazing. Which is a completely separate project, and it's completely titled Popeye. So everybody's flexing their licensing muscles.
Rival Popeye movies.
Yeah, but this is
Interesting.
Popeye the Slayer Man about a group of friends that sneak into an abandoned spinach canning factory to film a documentary on the legend of the Sailor Man who is said to haunt the factory. Yeah. So that's happening. I feel like this is already already it's off on the wrong foot because I know it's going to be like the Winnie the Pooh. It's going to be like what was the other thing they did? I know they're doing another one. You mentioned one. They're doing like a Steamboat Willie one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They've done
yeah.
two of the Winnie the Pooh ones. They've done the Grinch.
Right. So I mean, I know it's going to be like that, but you got like, I'm just going to spit out something. Think about Jason Voorhees, but every time he gets his hands on some spinach, that's when shit goes crazy.
I mean, hold on. Can I just stop you there? That actually doesn't sound bad. And I'm kind of
Yeah.
getting sold. So just keep it up.
Yeah. I'm telling you that you could have honestly made a movie. I'm hoping Popeye might do that because obviously Slayer Man is not going there. But like, what's this bullshit? Like the fact that they couldn't visualize, like, wait, we could have a classic 1970s style killer. He's a Navy sailor kind of dude, but he goes literally batshit berserk every time he gets his hand on spinach. Or they like the whole purpose of it is that they
My
stole
checkbook is
spinach.
out.
Yeah.
How much do you need, Dom?
I want to do this. They stole his spinach. So Popeye's going after it, and he's not as badass. He kind of gets his ass kicked until he peels away a can of spinach, and then he's able to take it, and then it's like
Shit hits the
Jason
fan.
Voorhees on steroids. He's just like,
He goes ham. Yeah.
yeah, for at least like maybe he gets like it's a countdown. It's a countdown clock of him just going berserk until he can get his hands on more spinach. And you could even do the like you could change it and make it all minor, like do 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 do, and he could just be like and like rise up in the back with his fucking like that's when he gets the big arms. I don't know, man. You want to make a cheesy, fun Popeye movie? I'm with you. You want to make it horror? I'm with you. A documentary about a spinach canning factory of somebody, some sailor guy that haunts it. I'm like,
Where's olive oil come into play though? That's or Bluto. Come on.
Wow.
Or
It'd be great if
Wimpy.
like the female
Yeah.
character, like one of the women actresses, like characters
Where are the
named
hamburgers?
Olive. Maybe she's named Olive.
Maybe.
Okay, but the tagline for this movie for Popeye the Slayer Man, get ready. Are you ready? You ready? He is what he is.
Yeah, I am what I am.
Man, that's
Wow.
perfect. They nailed that.
That's
Yeah.
so good. I hope
Yeah.
somebody is going to get paid a lot for that.
The poster looks amazing. Because it's just like backlit, like him from he's looking at him at the back, and he's just got these fucking ridiculous guns, and he's splattered with blood. And you just see him from the back with a corncob pipe. But I mean,
And a button nose.
yeah, that's wrong.
And two
That's the
eyes
wrong one.
made
They've
out
already
of
did that.
gold.
They already did that.
Dun, 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 dun.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I think they really missed out. He should be like, you should just go full cartoon, but horror. Like make it straight. Like try and do us 1970s. You know,
Right.
like do it like just Halloween, like Friday the
What if you
13th.
did like the opposite and he's like, you know, ex-military but has PTSD and spinach is the only thing that makes him stop having like flashbacks. And so he just
Dude.
goes ham and starts murdering people and then you have to stop him and like spinach him.
What if you mislead everyone and you make it seem like it's some other Navy guy while there's this washed up dude that's all weak and beat up, old, right? But then he gets spinach and it turns out one of the good guys is actually Popeye and he goes fucking berserk when he gets spinach.
Oh,
and
but
they
nobody
kick
knows
ass.
because they don't realize because he looks different.
They think it's the guy killing them because everyone's
got the
like,
twist.
"Oh, Popeye horror movie,"
Mhm.
but the twist is it's actually one of the one of the heroes getting chased, one of the people being tortured. Maybe it's like
Yeah.
Running Man, where it's like the greatest game, a bunch of Navy like SEALs hunting everyone down that look like one of them looks like Popeye, so everyone's like, "Oh, so this is Popeye the Sailor Man," but it turns out like one of the guys they don't understand is actually a former SEAL. And then that's Popeye, nicknamed Popeye. And then when he has spinach, he just fucking loses it. And you get that played by what's his
But
name?
what about the guy who looks like Popeye? What's his
What's-
special thing?
what's-
If this
what's
is
the
Running
guy?
Man, he has to have a special thing too. Opera
No.
singing?
I was trying to think like who's the guy that does everything?
Jason
Jason
Statham.
Statham.
Yeah, Jason Statham could be fucking Popeye, retired SEAL being chased after, man being the greatest game, bunch of Navy guys like, oh, we're gonna kill this guy, and it's like, no, that's Popeye. He's crazy.
And then William Defoe is the real Popeye.
I don't know. No, I thought Jason Statham could be the Popeye.
Oh, I
Like,
thought he would be the one that looks like Popeye that everyone thinks is, and then William
No,
Defoe could
he's
be the skinny little guy who
It's like
spinaches
Beekeepers,
out.
where he's washed up, and then he's like, no, it turns out he's a badass all along, and Popeye's still a good guy. And that guy, he turns out the guy that looks
It's
like
sad
Popeye,
that
that
there's
everyone
at
thought he was
least two
Popeye.
people on
he's
this
Bluto.
podcast that have watched The Beekeeper.
I haven't
Well,
yet.
here's the
I know
hint.
2 or 3 of us have watched it, and that is a sad, sad
Yeah,
state
it's
of
terrible.
affairs.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not that I didn't want to.
You should. I mean, it's
I thought it
I
might
actually-
be
all the
interesting.
others.
I actually like Jason Statham.
Yeah, Jason Statham he's.
Statham.
It's,
I
he's
like him
fine.
as a.
He was in the Meg, so you're gonna like him no matter what.
He's ridiculous, but I like that.
That's
but he
probably one of
knows
the
it.
only roles he was actually like great
He knows
in.
it. Nah, he's great in he's great in everything, even when it's dumb. He's great. Like
Yeah.
I never sit there and go like, "Oh, he ruined this movie." Like it's never like that. It's like, no, you know what you're gonna get when Jason Statham is in the fucking movie. When he's in a movie, you know what you're getting.
I mean,
You're
that's
like,
true.
If you pretend
True.
and you walk in, you're like, "What? What?"
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
come
it's like Liam Neeson. You know what the movie's
Yeah.
gonna be.
yeah.
Right.
Remember when Liam Neeson wasn't that though? Like there was
And
a
he did
time
like
when he
period
wasn't-
pieces and stuff.
Yeah, like he wasn't. That's not how. Like everyone forgets. Like now they sit there and go, "I have a certain set of skills," but like he wasn't like that for most of his career. Like that came later. Like now he's like that, but for the longest time, that was like old Liam Neeson. Young Liam Neeson was not an action star, which is a weird flex because it's usually the other way around. I don't know.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. It's wild.
It is-
I don't know. I think
good.
I could make a really good Popeye movie. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it's probably going to be better than the actual Popeye movie.
I'm
So-
fucking disappointed. Like the best you can come up with is a documentary crew trying to film a film in a old spinach canning factory about a sailor guy that hung out there, and then that guy comes out and kills you all because he's losing his shit. I was like, nah. I mean, I could do better than that. I'm already kind of sold on like Jason Statham playing fucking Popeye,
Popeye.
on the down, and the guy you think is Popeye is actually fucking Bluto.
Oh my god, perfect, nailed it.
Yeah.
One more small Liam Neeson thing, just on what you were talking about. I think it's fucking crazy that he went from Schindler's List to 25 years later, he is rebooting The Naked Gun.
Interesting.
Okay, well, that's
Yeah.
wild.
There's a rumor, I think next year or the year after, they're doing a Naked Gun with him.
He could do it. I mean, he's funny. He is actually funny.
Yeah.
I think he could do it.
I know he is. It's
I
just
don't know if I
crazy.
care.
Schindler's List is like one of the most depressing movies. It's just he just took such a jump. Maybe that's the movie that just made him stop. He was like, I can't do this anymore.
I think it was
need
the
to be-
death of Natasha, his wife. It wasn't it? Like
Maybe.
Liam Neeson got it really fucked him up. She died. Natasha.
Way to make it all serious, Dom.
No, I'm forgetting her name. She was an actress. And he loved her. And then after that, that's I think when he started doing
Anne Heche.
No, that's not it. That's not who. He's 72. Natasha Richardson.
Natasha Richardson.
Yeah, she was a great actress.
Yeah, but she died. It says here in 2009. Taken was in 2008. Maybe Taken killed her.
Maybe. See, there you go.
I mean,
bringing it back.
I feel like it was cancer. If I specifically
because of watching Taken, and then it just consumed him, and now he can't go back.
I mean, he's done a lot of he's done a lot of movies, action movies. But that wasn't what Leah like.
No, he did Rob Roy, Schindler's List. He did a bunch of fucking like period piece stuff when he was younger.
Yeah.
Although in the 80s he was in Delta Force.
Oh.
Yeah.
He was also in Krull.
He was.
Krull.
Mm-hmm.
Krull.
That's one of my favorite old movies.
I love that movie.
Krull.
This isn't like sci-fi horror podcast. Sci-fi.
I pulled it in. I was gonna do it, but I'm not. So anyways, horror news. Mine is little
bitty.
It's a little bitty. So we've kind of touched on this before. There is the Alien series coming out.
Yes.
Done by the Fargo creator. I think it's going to be on FX. It's about a ragtag group of tactical soldiers in the year 2120 who make a fateful discovery. It's coming out next summer, and they just released a small trailer for it, the first teaser. And there's a xenomorph in it and blood.
We do like the xenomorphs.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Mother, xenomorph, facehugger. Except for when we get into the life cycle conversation.
Yeah, that gets that's not our fault though. It's not our fault.
It's their fault.
They need to tighten that shit up, but whatever.
Oh, it's for Hulu. So that's what it is.
That's fine.
Yeah, everything's streaming now. We get it all.
Everything's
watch
fine.
Watch it regardless.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we're gonna watch it. Like everyone's gonna watch it. I haven't actually seen.
It's taken 6 years.
The movie. What's the movie that just came out?
Romulus.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Can you believe that?
I can't.
Sucks.
You should watch it.
Yeah,
the actor who plays
watch it.
the like AI is that kid's great.
Mm-hmm.
I meant to watch it in the theater, but I made so every time I do this fucks me up. Every time I try to wait for a person to watch it with, when they're like, no, watch it with me, and I'm like, okay, they never get it together, and then I miss it, and then it drops out, and now it's on. I can watch it now at home, so I'm going to. But like, I was so mad. It was another example. It's like, this is why I don't wait for people. I never wait for people, like, because every time I do, I waited for my brother, and he didn't get his shit together, and then now I didn't see it in the theater.
Well, now
which I know that you guys absolutely felt like it was a fantastic Shakespearean art film.
Well, we did an episode on it that you can listen to after you see it.
I started to listen to the episode and then went, wait, I haven't seen this movie, so I got to stop.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping they don't fuck this up. Like, they have a lot of great people working on it. They're trying to plan it to be a multi-season show, which means if it's good, they're going to cancel it after the first one, because that's my curse right now. But it's a prequel, but it's not going to be tied to like either of the Prometheuses. I don't even think it's going to be tied necessarily to Alien either.
Right.
But I mean, the people. This is going to jinx it too. But like the guy who, I know that the director is basically saying that he couldn't be happier with the show. And that if people wanted a television series based on the world of Alien, he's going to give them something really special, and he expects to be working on this show for the next 10 years. So You
That's
shot yourself in the foot, buddy.
Yeah, that's very bold. Oh, this is the best thing that's ever invented, and I'm gonna be doing this for like till I'm dead for the next however many years. All right, buddy.
Yeah, but it's supposed to have the same kind of feel of Alien. It's basically about the idea of humanity being trapped between its primordial parasitic past and the AI future, and they're both trying to kill us. So
Facts. Well,
yeah,
I mean,
I
hopefully
think
it's
it
good.
could be cool. A lot of good actors in it. So because I think and Timothy Oliphant, I think he's AI in it.
Hmm.
If I don't remember, we talked about it a while ago, and I remember talking about the synopsis because there's something about a young girl and an AI, and I think he was the AI.
Yeah, that sounds
Maybe.
familiar. That sounds familiar. But
If not, he might not be. So don't quote me on that, but it's
I mean, hopefully it's good.
seems like it
Whatever.
was.
Hopefully it's fine. Hopefully it's good enough. It's all
Oh,
I
I
can
was right. He plays Kirsch, a synth who acts as a mentor and trainer for Wendy, who's a hybrid metahuman who has the brain and consciousness of a child, but the body of an adult.
Well, look at that.
We
Yeah,
always love
sometimes
that.
this noggin remembers stuff,
Petrus Obliat Farm remembers.
and it's not
Yeah.
even plugged in.
Nope, you're all organic.
Mostly, yeah. All
Um,
right.
anything else?
That's
I got a
no,
few.
everything else was kind of like mid that I had, so I don't
Right.
want to talk about it.
All right. I'm gonna talk about some mid stuff, probably. So Warner Brothers
Boo.
is developing a new version of Forbidden Planet.
Boo.
Right. So there's
Right.
that. There is also a new documentary on Rod Serling that is in the works. That could be cool.
Could
Hopefully he's
be.
like a secret agent, like what's his name from the fucking Gong Show? What's the host's name? Fucking Bob Crane or whatever.
Mm.
I can't help you there. I blanked. I
Was-
could look it up.
Worked for the CIA.
Yeah, I
think.
know.
Um, so there's that. But
Yeah,
also
Confessions of the Dangerous Minds about
right,
him. Chuck
right.
Barris.
Chuck Barris.
Chuck Barris, there you go. Bob Crane. Who the fuck's Bob Crane?
He's a character on an old sitcom, isn't he?
I don't know. Yes.
Now I gotta look it
No.
up because he's definitely
While you're looking that up, there is a new movie.
yeah, and he's an actor and a drummer
Right.
and a disc jockey.
Zeus. Did you guys hear about this?
Hogan's Heroes, Bob
Right,
Crane.
right.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So
Zeus.
Zeus.
The
It's a
TV
creature
show?
feature. No. It's about a killer dog.
I don't
So,
like that.
basically Cujo. It follows a group of friends that are terrorized by a Cane Corso or Cane Corso Mastiff dog during a lakeside holiday celebration. I mean, whatever. I'm always down for any sort of rabid thing, creatures of sorts, but here's the kicker. It's the director of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The new one.
Yeah. Yep. 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 Yep.
Like the brand new one. Or the
Mm.
one with
The one with tits, whatever that chick's name is that we
the
talk about all
one
the time.
oh, Alexander Daddario? No, the not that one. That was Leatherface, I think. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake with
Yeah, it was
Jessica whatever,
right.
Justin
No,
Timberlake's wife.
Garcia's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the one from Netflix. So it's not.
Oh, yeah, the influencer one.
Yeah.
You brought up
So
that Chuck Barris thing, and I fell down that hole. Did you know he made that up?
yeah.
Okay.
Or
didn't
did
know.
he? I mean, did he
Okay.
though?
Yeah, we
All
don't
right,
know.
well, can I tell you? Since this is horror news, it doesn't have
Yeah.
anything to do with anything, but this is crazy. This is in the Wikipedia, so anyone could look this up. But in 1984, Barris wrote an autobiography called Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. In the book, he states he worked for the Central Intelligence Agency as an assassin in the 1960s and 70s in Southeast Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East. A 2002 feature film version directed by George Clooney and starring Sam Rockwell depicts Barris killing 33 people.
It's
Barris
a great
wrote a
movie.
sequel to The Confessions of a Dangerous Mind in 2004 called Bad Grass Never Dies. The CIA adamantly denied that Barris ever worked for them in any capacity, and after the release of the
Sure.
movie, a CIA spokesman Paul Nowak said Barris's assertions that he worked for the spy agency are ridiculous and absolutely not true. In an interview on NBC's Today Show in 1984, Barris admitted to having made the story up. No, I was never a CIA hitman. I never did those things. I once applied for the CIA, and while I was going through the process, I got a job and went on television. But I always wondered what would have happened if I had done both. In an interview in 2010, the Television Academy Foundation, he was asked if he ever disclosed the truth to anyone, including his wife, and denied it. He said, "No, never. I'll never say one way or the other if I made it up or not." Man's nuts. Okay, sorry.
I mean,
you
that
mentioned that, and I was
sounds-
like, "Wait, what?" And then
Sounds
I
like
looked
a
it up.
CIA agent to me.
Yeah, that sounds exactly what a CIA agent would say to throw people
Especially
off
if
the
you
trail.
got in a little trouble.
Uh-huh. No, I know. I was it was never that. I made it up.
That's
Right.
wild.
But Sam Rockwell does do a great job of playing it, and that movie's
Yeah.
ridiculous, though.
Right.
The book's ridiculous, too.
Fun things to think about here on Monster Candy Podcast. Pierogies, salt, happy endings.
Handies.
Oh, dude. Yeah, this is the shit you get. This is what you get.
You guys asked
tuned
for it.
in. You tuned in.
Yeah.
You picked us. We didn't ask you to listen.
Suckers.
We'd have this conversation without
Yep.
you.
Uh-huh.
Hey, people might have learned about rescue salt now, and we saved a life.
Yeah.
That's true.
Or how to become a CIA agent
I
as
didn't
the host of
watch
a
this movie. I
fucking
wanna watch
TV
it
show.
now. Huh.
It's more informative, if nothing else.
It is. One of my managers, after I told about it, she was feeling like lightheaded in the meeting and just like weird and dizzy because she could see spells. And I was like, just take some of the salt. And she laughed and she did. And she's like, I feel better.
I thought you were gonna say I told her to go listen to Monster Candy podcast, and she did, and she felt fine.
I told her to go get a handy.
I thought you were just gonna throw the salt at her like a Pokemon ball or something. You're just like,
But
here.
yeah, I actually just took a like pinch and shoved it in her eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel better.
Feel better. And then whispered like,
Whisper, you've been
What
salted.
am I supposed to whisper? Don't.
I was trying.
Don't just
I
fall
started
off.
laughing too much. I couldn't say it. Like, you've been salted. You know, I was like, I don't know, Salt Bay. That's the horror
Assaulted.
movie. Salt Bay, assaulted. The story.
There you
Assaulted. Story of
Mhm.
Salt Bay, and then it's a
Right.
horror movie. A million of them. Jesus.
Timestamp.
Monster Candy Podcast Studios. Monster Candy Studios. You make films.
We make films that look good and people like.
We're gonna make all the films
Witty titles.
that sucked better with our version of them as they should be told.
But they're still going to kind of suck.
Maybe.
But not
suck-
as bad.
suck in the best way. Hey, Trauma's had to start out somewhere, right? And look at
Yeah, it's true.
them. Rolling in dough. Or
Rich. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard
Eh.
somebody just acquired them for like $3 billion.
yeah.
Good job, Trauma.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyone got anything else?
I mean, I can keep making things up.
Nope.
All right. Well, that's been dudes.
How did I say it? I am what I am.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yes. Okay. Full disclosure. Guess who didn't read the text right?
I don't know who.
Me. Guess who thought it was for the original film? Guess who found out that it was the sequel when you said it at the beginning of the episode? I don't know if any of you noticed because you were in your bit, but like I just went, I made this face like, wait, what?
Did I text you the wrong thing?
I don't know. I didn't look. But I thought it was just Texas
It
Chainsaw
says,
Massacre.
want to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 tomorrow for Thanksgiving episode.
Maybe I thought also. I don't know.
Or maybe he's at 2.
Maybe.
That too. I don't know. Probably. I just completely spaced the two.
No,
and-
because you wrote back, oh yeah, what time? So
Yeah,
that's
no, it's
scratched.
fine.
Nope, that's not what you thought.
No, maybe I thought also. Do you want to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre also for Thanksgiving? And I was like, yeah. No, I don't know. I just spaced it. So I was like, oh yeah. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I got a bit to say about that. I don't know why I didn't even think about it. And then 2, when you said 2, I was like, Dude, I saw two in 1989. Like, I'm like, I don't think I saw it since then. So I was like, while we're doing horror news, I'm like reading back through the plot, going, "Oh, wait, I remember this." Okay,
Yeah,
so I'm like,
it's one
yeah,
of those movies where you
but I
remember a
don't
lot
have
of
any
shit.
of the trivia.
It's
I don't
fine.
have any of the
No,
trivia. I got nothing. So
I,
you guys got to do that. I mean, I could read it quickly, but I was like, I'm not
I
prepared.
always read the
Yeah,
trivia too, buddy.
Oob's
Don't
got the
worry, I
trivia. Don't
gotcha.
worry about
Okay.
that.
Well, I was just like, usually I try to prepare a little bit. Though I will say that there are 4 episodes of Monster Candy podcast that I did in the past. This is okay for any longtime listeners or fans of the show. This is legit truth. There are 4 episodes where I have not seen the film when we did the episode, and I watched it after. But I was able to do an episode, and I was able to fool. And here's a clue: I was able to fool both Shotzi and E that they didn't know I hadn't seen the film because I didn't admit it to them. So this is E discovering it in real time, this moment that I actually didn't have time to watch the film.
No, you
and
told
had
me
to
you
do
told
it.
me Nightbreed. You said, yeah, I didn't even.
No, I saw Nightbreed. I saw Nightbreed. I know. I saw
No,
Nightbreed. Clive Barker.
yeah.
I saw Nightbreed
No,
back in
no,
the 80s.
no. You saw it, but you didn't see it before we did the episode.
Oh
Like,
yeah, but I don't count that one.
Yeah.
'Cause, like,
Yeah,
I actually
I have
knew the
like
movie.
one or two of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I've seen the movie.
One
Like,
I
I
didn't
saw
see at
this.
all, like at all.
I saw
ever.
this in 1989. Like literally, it had to have been 1989 when I saw this. But I was like, when you
You've
said
seen it
like,
since
"Oh,
then.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2," and I was like, "The fuck?" Like in my head, I was like, "Wait, what?" And so yeah, this is on me, Oubliette. This isn't on you. I know I fucked this up, but
Oubliette-
I
It's
know.
like, yeah, I know.
I put the number 2. I didn't put TO or TOO
It's like,
or
yeah, I know.
even TWO. I put number
Yeah.
2.
yeah.
Well, this is perfect because your first impression is what you're gonna discuss about the movie.
Oh yeah,
That's
I'll be
perfect.
honest.
We love it. We love it.
Yeah,
All right.
I have. Yeah, okay.
Here's the synopsis, a short one. A radio host is
I
victimized.
need this. I need this really badly.
Yeah. A radio
No.
host is victimized by the cannibal family as a former Texas Marshal hunts them.
Can I
That's it?
start with
That's all
things
you're
I
giving?
didn't like?
Yeah.
Because we've been starting with
that's
things we like for a while.
It's a very, very sparse synopsis.
Yeah, I was really hoping for more. I'm gonna be honest,
Yeah.
going into this, trying to remember.
I could give you a synopsis.
Go for
I'll
it.
give you a fucking synopsis.
No. So
Alright.
there's this radio station. There's this cute girl with a southern accent. Her name's Stretch, and she's like having a radio show. And these dudes call in. They're super douchebags, and they are driving to OU weekend. Hook 'em horns. They start harassing her. She can't get them off the phone. Then she gets them off the phone. Then they call back, and they're being super douches again. But then they're screaming, and there's chainsaws, and then blood. Then all of a sudden, she meets Dennis Hopper, and he's looking for the people who are killing people. And she's like, I know who did, or I have to tape of these kids getting killed, and it's by the people you're looking for. And he's like, fuck you, I don't need help, like I hate you. And then she goes back to the radio station, and then Dennis Hopper comes to the radio station, and he's like, hey, I want that tape, but you're going to play it on the air. And she's like, I'm going to lose my radio show. And he's like, I don't care, because Dennis Hopper doesn't fucking care about anybody except for his dead
Because he's a cowboy.
nieces and nephews. Yeah. So then they play the kids getting killed on the radio station, and then bad stuff happens. And I'm not going to say more because that gives it away, and it would tell Dominic far too much.
Perfect.
But
This is
enter in the Sawyers, right? The
Yes.
Sawyer family that are still cooking and eating people, but this time in the subterranean basement of a carnival.
Which is awesome. Yeah, they went from southern Texas to northern Texas because, nobody would ever find them 4 hours away. It's fine. It's fine. All right, we start off with what you didn't like.
Yeah, we start off so much with what we like.
Yeah.
And my don't likes are not a lot, but they're real, man. They're real.
Right. There's some things.
I'd like to preface that I am all for the second one not being the same tone as the first one and being crazy and more of a comedic slasher. It was actually supposed to be, here's one of the trivias that Dom talked about we should have. It was actually supposed to be the Valley of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? Or I think that's what it's supposed to be called.
Yes.
And it was supposed to be a riff on Motel Hell, because Motel Hell made fun of the first one, and then they were
Right.
going to take it even farther, and it was going to be a whole city of cannibals.
Mhm.
But then they were like, no fucking way, and they brought another writer in to come and rewrite everything. But here's my here's my thing. So,
Here's my thing.
so Dennis Hopper's like chasing them all over Texas because they kind of hit on that their killings have been happening all over, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then the family is like in this basement of like a carnival in one particular area. But he's also like, he wins this chili competition and alludes to winning it every year.
Right.
And I don't think he's driving like 10 hours or 8 hours. Texas is a big
No.
fucking state. I don't think he's driving like back to wherever the fuck to do this chili competition. So that, come on, man.
Yeah.
Number two, they're making meat in a fucking cavern, basically, which is just like, I don't care how cheesy you are, that doesn't make any sense. But I can let that all slide. What I cannot let slide is the fact that they took Franklin, the guy in the wheelchair from the first movie, and he's there in his wheelchair with cobwebs to give Dennis Hopper one of his many egotistical monologue sort of situations just to make him more mad. Now you're telling me these people left their farmhouse after the first massacre and they literally took this dude's skeleton and his wheelchair
Right.
and moved it all the way to this cavern deep under a carnival, and also like the grandma, the twin brother, the hitchhiker in the first one, like they took
Nubbins.
They took Nubbins.
Come here, Nubbins.
Yeah, and Nubbins, that's actually part of the other thing that pissed me off. Nubbins got ran over by an 18-wheeler at the end of the first one, yet somehow he still has his army jacket on with a live grenade.
Yeah, and well, you know, I
Wow.
I'm sorry, but they put him back together so they can wear him around.
Yeah, I think that was Jim Sedal's, you know, the cook. I think that was his like insurance policy to hide it in there, maybe. But
sure,
he was
I get it.
He was flattened. There is no more hitchhiker. Edwin Neal his
Nubbins
character is
done.
smashed. But
Nubbins is not mashed in this movie. He's
not.
he's like attached to a black suit that you can like put over yourself so you can be him and like dance around. And then all of a sudden he's not, and he has his army jacket on again, which I don't think he did before with the grenade in it.
Yeah, no, I think they just put that on.
So he changed clothes.
Yeah.
Sounds like a fever dream.
Yeah, see, you should have watched it again.
Yeah. But we did get Nubbins though. We got Nubbins. We didn't get to the hitchhiker. We got Nubbins. I love Nubbins. I just love saying Nubbins. Come here, Nubbins.
The hitchhiker is Nubbins.
No, I know, but
Nubbins.
If he was smashed and flattened to bits, we wouldn't have him. I'm glad they brought him back. But
and I can't. I'll get in. If I say anything else about that, it will start trailing into things I like, and we're not doing that because this show has a format.
Does it?
With some guests, we need to. Yeah, we've learned in the past. Some people just can't stay on track.
Okay. A very small one. I know that in the first one, there's a part where Leatherface is wearing like the tie, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like in this one, he literally looks like he's leaving like an 80s prom. Like he looks like he has like weird makeup on. It's kind of like a curly, ridiculous wig. And like that suit is just like, it's a skinny tie, and the cut of it, it's
the 80s, man. It's the 80s.
I know. Yeah, I know. But I really wish. This is another little trivia that the original Leatherface would have ended up being in this one, because this guy, his hand movements, he has silly hands, and I don't like the silly hands.
Yeah, I was watching it back with the
real silly hands.
The commentary on Tobe Hooper was talking about it, and they asked him like, "Why didn't you get Gunnar Hansen back for it?" And I don't know,
contract issue, right?
I mean, offered him shit money. I did pick up that.
He offered him 10% for the agent. He offered him a raise with 10% for the agent, but he didn't have an agent, so he wanted to keep the 10%, and then they wouldn't give it to him.
Well, that's what, has been said. He, on the other hand, which sounded like bullshit. It was just like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe we just weren't in contact. I don't know why. Maybe he wasn't living around there. I'm like, that all sounds like bullshit, buddy.
Well, not only does it sound like bullshit, one of the other things about the movie that is kind of like the lore of it or whatever is the woman who plays Stretch. Her audition, Gunnar was in the room.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was just funny that he was just like, I don't even know why I didn't ask.
Yeah, I mean
Of course,
the
that sounds
publicist for the
great.
film tried to like say that he vacillated until they withdrew the offer, but it does look like he was probably around for auditions and there was like a contract negotiation, and then when they
Right,
pulled the 10% because he didn't have an agent, he was like, "This is too low. I'm not doing this again for nothing." Because I mean, the first one was brutal.
right.
Was a brutal filming and it was rough on everybody. So going into that, like even years later, I could see you sitting there going like, I know how this guy films. I'm not gonna do this for not much. He can be pretty rough. It's like
Right,
so.
especially having to be in that get up for
Yeah.
Yeah.
extended periods of time. So I get it.
Yeah, and I mean you gotta, it's like you want to see a raise, like scale plus 10 and then they withdraw the 10. You're like, nah,
Like
that's not enough.
fuck you. Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? You can blame the his Leatherface's suit on. You could blame it on your buddy Tom Savini because he did the
That
special
fucking
effects.
guy.
Yeah,
We don't know.
just blame it on him.
Well, one of the things I don't like that's coming up is a special effect, which
What?
I'll just go ahead and say.
Go ahead.
At the end, when Chop Top keeps cutting his neck,
Right.
that is the worst fucking thing I've ever seen in like any horror movie ever. It is literally just fake blood coming out of the knife. Like there is
Right.
no semblance of a cut or anything else. And like one of the creepiest things about his character and even Nubs in the first one was the kind of self like harm stuff
Right.
they would
Right.
do. And like compared to like the hand cutting scene in the original one that Nubs does, and to like do that to Chop Top and this one with the stupid thing, and at the end, like right before everything happens, I was like, "Did you guys run out of money?" Because it looks like you ran out of money.
Yeah, the whole ending is like something I'm just like, that's where
It
the
seems
movie like
Punk,
shits the bed for me.
yeah.
I'm like, all right, so okay, grandma is just chilling in the back of a
Which is so
giant
dumb.
thing that everyone drives by and anyone could just walk around the back and be like, oh, what the fuck's up there? You know? And
And her chest plate, it was some like it was weird.
yeah, well, that and the fact that I mean, I get it. It's the sequel. You want to introduce some other crazy characters, but she wasn't at all discussed in the first one. So, but now she's like kind of still alive. And then
No, I
that
thought she was dead because he says that grandma and great grandma died, so he had to take care of the family or whatever. So I thought she was just a body.
well, she moves and when he takes the fucking when she takes when Caroline Williams takes the chainsaw off
Did
her,
she?
yeah, her head's moving around. He's like, "No, grandma, no." And she's like moving. I'm like, "How is she
Fucking
fucking
movie.
alive?" You know? But that whole ending, I'm like, "Oh." When you're a kid, you're like, "Oh, whatever, it's cool." But now I'm like, you guys should have just ended it at the whole thing falling in or something like that. Not. And then you got Caroline Williams doing the fucking Leatherface swinging the chainsaw above her head at the end too. I'm like, eh. Caroline Williams is awesome, by the way. Like in person, she's super rad. Like she just
Mhm.
don't give a fuck about anything, which is cool. But yeah, I'm with you about that oubliette. The whole ending, I'm like, bad, 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 bad.
I
Yeah,
gotta be
that's
honest.
weird.
I'm of two minds with Texas Chainsaw Massacre anyway. There's a part of me that appreciates the independent film and the ambition of the ambition of the first one that it inspired to do. There's a part of me in that. And then there's a part of me that just hated that film when I was younger and thought it was overrated and I didn't like it. And then this movie, what I remember is when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, this is like more of what I just disliked, but like leaning in and it's not as fun. So I remember in 1989 not liking this movie very much
This
at
one?
all. Yeah. I thought it was like absolutely like I was like this is ridiculous. This is not what I'm looking for at the time. You
Right.
know, I mean, I was like six. I was like 13. It was not
Yeah,
what I wanted.
it came out in 86, so yeah.
Yeah,
Moved
Like
up
I
there.
was
the
13 when I
first
saw it.
one scared the shit out of me, and the second one I was like, yeah, this is my kind of horror movie.
Right.
Really? I wasn't into it. I didn't like it.
I mean, it's just more like fun slasher comedy.
Yeah, I need
But
to. I will watch it after this episode, which will be too late for me to comment to all of you about it. But but yeah, at the time when I was younger, I didn't like it. I was
Yeah.
like, this is stupid. I felt like it was dumb. But I know you, and this is not an offense. I know that Oubliette, you like some of that. You like a bit of the
You like dumb
charming
shit,
dumb.
Oubliette.
You like dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not an insult. Like that's a style. Like there's a style of humor and lighthearted, and it's valid. There's a lot of horror fans
Well,
that
I like
that.
dark. I like dark comedy too.
Dark comedy. That's essentially that's the right way to describe
Well,
it.
no,
You
I like
dark
really
comedy.
dumb horror too, but like
Yeah.
I like dark comedy.
Yeah, and I mean, this is not a read. This is not like Oubliette likes dumb shit. No, it's awesome.
No, it's cool.
It's just that, like, especially a younger Dominic, I was not as into that as I wanted to be, as I could have been.
Right.
I've appreciated it more later, but yeah, less I was like, what am I watching? Because I remember hearing that Dennis Hopper said it was the worst film he ever did until he did Super Mario Brothers in '93.
Dude,
And I
I
remember
totally forgot
going,
he was
yeah,
in that.
I remember that's fair. That's fair.
You would like the soundtrack though, Dom. It's like Oingo Boingo, The Cramps.
See, I
It's a
don't
pretty
even remember
solid
that.
soundtrack.
I don't even remember the soundtrack. Oh yeah, yeah, that's cool.
What,
Concrete
what
Blonde.
is it? Goo Goo Muck is in there? Is that the song? One of them?
Yeah,
Yeah, the one
Cramps,
from
Goo Goo
Wednesday.
Muck,
Yeah.
Concrete Blonde, Timbuk 3. I recognize that name. Torch Song. Stuart Copeland, the drummer from the Police, do a song for this. 2 songs from Concrete Blonde. Lord's of the New Church. Yeah,
Right.
that's pretty. That's
Well,
pretty
because a
sick.
lot of this takes place in a radio station, so it's
Yeah.
definitely kind of music oriented. All right, so there's one more thing that I
Yeah.
didn't like. I commented on Dennis Hopper finding Franklin and saying it was one of many of Dennis Hopper's little like egotistical,
Oh,
fucking
he's
almost religious monologue bullshit tantrums he has in
very
this movie.
religious. Exactly.
Dude,
religious.
this fucking character. But here's the real thing. He sets up Stretch to play this fucking tape and leaves, knowing that the family's going to come back. And what do they do after she plays the murder tape? They come back. But he doesn't just come back immediately to get them. He literally like chills, lets them kill her co-host, lets them terrorize her. And then he comes
LG.
in.
He got LG killed.
Who's the best? We love
He is
LG.
the best. We do love LG.
We love LG. And LG
Darling.
actually has something to do with one of the parts I really love. But
We're not there yet.
right. But they let him go after LG, go after her. She's like in a fucking like whatever, walk-in, like a closet or walk-in or something, like traumatized. And then he finally shows up and admits, sorry, darling, I had to use you as bait. But she's still, and I know she's probably in shock, but she's still kind of like not even as mad as she could be. Then she's down in this fucking cavern in a room full of guts.
Yeah.
And Dennis Hopper not only knows where they are, he's fucking there. He's there. And what is he doing? He's talking about God, and he's taking the chainsaw and like cutting the wooden like poles that
beams,
hold
yeah.
up the beams that hold stuff together. And then seeing his dead nephew, which I don't fucking know why, again, they drove him across fucking Texas in a wheelchair to put him in this carnival basement. But then he sees Franklin and realizes his rage. This guy's literally going after them because they killed his niece and nephew, yet he is letting other people get murdered by them.
Yeah.
Whilst looking at his nephew's dead body.
Was it
like-
his nephew or was it his brother? I thought
Franklin,
it
I
was his
thought
brother.
was his nephew.
Nephew.
His
Because
nephew.
Sandy was his niece.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, I remember that.
But yeah. And I
but
know his character's supposed to be a dick, so that's fine. But still, it was just a little long-winded on some of it. You're like, all right,
Well,
buddy, just
that
fucking-
was help me
Stop talking about
remember.
God.
Like I said, this has been a long time. I'm so sorry, everyone. I really thought it was a different film that we were doing. What is the I remember, was there confusion about what happened to his nephew, or did he know? Because she survived a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so I would have thought that there would have been
Told
no
him.
confusion over who murdered these kids. And I feel like he didn't know that it was these people. Am I wrong?
Well, he
can't
knew.
remember.
No, he knew because that's why he was up when like the murder's starting to happen. You know, the bright lights, big titties. Once he heard
Yeah.
that, and all, he's like, they're back at it. So he goes up to North Texas, and it's like, I gotta find these motherfuckers because they killed my
Okay, yeah.
family. Yeah, and everyone's
I
like,
remember.
we don't believe you. Those, they're not here. It's different murders, as if
Yeah.
that's like any
Yeah,
better.
these people have been winning
That's how
chili
he knew.
competitions for 10 years.
Right.
That's how he knew.
And
who
they're
it
super
was, yeah.
ingrained in our society, like in our community, and we let them cook our food in a fucking cavern
Right.
below a carnival.
Yeah,
Or
that makes
like we
sense.
don't even know. Like, how don't you know where they live?
And how don't you notice that there's like a fucking stalagmite in your food?
Right. How
Yeah.
don't
Like,
I mean, look, I know it's been what 12 years since the original, since they did their murders down in southern Texas. But there's got to be pictures of them, at least of the cook. And
Yeah.
like, how don't you know
I recall
it's
that
the
being
guy.
one of the points that I had. Like, how are these people still on, like, around?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I felt like it was a stretch, but yeah.
It definitely was
yeah,
a
he
stretch.
owned a gas station and he was selling food then too.
Right. So he didn't even change occupations. he
That's how you
became
got away with murder back in the 80s and 70s. You just moved to the next town.
yeah, and everyone's like, oh,
I mean, real talk though, you feed people, they forget a lot of stuff.
it's true.
That's true.
As soon as they like you.
That makes sense.
That was one of my issues too.
That feels like a foreshadowing comment from
Yeah,
a movie we had about you feed people, they forget a lot of stuff. Like, you know, shot a man in the middle of the restaurant, and I just gave
remember that
everybody a
next time
free
I'm picking up the
appetizer.
bill.
yeah, watch out though.
Bum,
So yeah,
bum, bum.
so the whole time Dennis Hopper's in this fucking cavern, in this lair, just walking around, chopping shit down. They're down there having like a dinner and trying to, having a throwback to the original one where he's beating Stretch's head in, like Grandpa's doing that thing. But that whole middle part takes like 15 minutes while Dennis Hopper's just like walking through all these caverns, cutting all the support beams down. But they seem unbothered by the whole thing
Yeah.
until he finally gets down, and then they're like, God damn it. You're like, wait, he's been up there all around this place for like at least 10 minutes.
Oh my God.
And there's like, we'll deal with him when we get to him. But first, we need to make this lady into fucking food. And you're like, wait.
As one does.
Yeah. Who cares? But yeah, that's where all my didn't likes end. From what you remember, Dom, what else didn't you like?
I mean, I also remember not actually being okay. Speaking from young Dominic's perspective, I remember not liking Dennis Hopper as an actor. I always thought he was a little weird to me, so I was like turned off by him being in it. I remember like, this guy, he overacts, and I remember thinking like that. Which, as I've grown older, I've both come to appreciate, and yet don't disagree with younger me. I was right, but you sort of appreciate the breadth of his work later. But yeah, But no, I mean, it just seemed. I realize now. I mean, I remember kind of getting the idea because I remember the cover of the rental that I got because I watched it because we rented it. It looked like Breakfast Club.
Totally.
And I remember thinking, what are they doing? What are they doing? What is happening here? And I remember my friend loved it. And I was like, okay. So I was like, I think I was just like not in the mood for this movie. 1989. Because I feel like I'm remembering all the bits of it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't like it. But I was also not super into Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That one never grabbed me. I mean, as people listening to this podcast might remember, like I'm the monster guy. I like monsters and creatures and everything, but I don't really love actual humans murdering other humans. And some people are like, well, Leatherface is kind of a monster, and I get that, but
kind of, but not.
Yeah, it just didn't grab, like the Texas Chainsaw thing never grabbed me. So this sequel, I get to be the one that doesn't like it, but I feel bad because I would watch it and try and figure it out. But if I change my mind from now, and I'm gonna watch it, so you guys will hear about it. I don't know. Maybe I'll post something in comments or somewhere. But the social media. You guys
we can do
hear?
a 10-minute lead up or a 10-minute post episode of Dominic's real feelings.
Yeah, if people want that, like if anybody listening actually wants that, I will 100. The next time I'm on the show, I will give a couple minutes. And what, because like right now, I have no choice but to rate it at 13-year-old me, and I feel like my candy corns are gonna be kind of low for this fucking movie. So if you guys want, because I completely shit the bed on this appearance on this podcast, I will come back on the next one and give an adjusted version, which means you'll have to listen next time I'm on the podcast and hear
We
what my updated observations on this film were if they give me time to do it.
we will
Which chances are, no
absolutely,
matter what you
yeah,
say, I will probably do it anyway because
we'll
I'll
absolutely be
you're
down for
talking
that.
about. But yeah, I mean, from 1989, like I just remember just kind of going, "This is stupid," and like being annoyed. I think I watched it as a slumber party hangout at a friend's house, and I was like, "Why are we watching this movie?"
Dude,
And I remember being annoyed. So
speaking of Dennis Hopper's overacting, that of just with all the characters in this is one of the things I love about this movie because this movie is basically the Evil Dead 2 of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. So you have the
mhm.
first one, which even Tobe Hooper admits is like a dark comedy because there's some funny stuff in there, but to everyone else, you notice the funny parts or like the God, these people are assholes, or that's kind of funny, but it's creepy.
You have to have a
1974.
dark sense of humor
Yeah,
though to
for sure.
really find any part of that funny.
For sure. But I mean, I remember seeing this in we were driving up to Worcester, Massachusetts to see
Booster.
my family, some relatives, and we stopped and staying in a hotel. I remember seeing this on. It's super late at night, and the Run DMC Aerosmith video for Walk This Way. I I'm like, dude, this is the craziest night ever seeing this. And then when I got back,
Oh, music video premieres.
oh man, it was awesome. But
Dude,
then you
you
go
had to
back
be
to
in
the
front of your
right
TV.
to
Oh,
the
shit.
rental store and you rent it and I watch it. And as a kid, I'm like, oh, this is crazy. And there's blood and guts, and that's the shit you focus on. I'm like, oh, this is cool. It's different than the first one, but it's crazy and funny and gross. So I'm like, that's cool.
Have you
Eh,
seen the extended version with like Joe Bob Briggs in it?
I mean, I've seen the clip, but not in the movie. It might be on the version I have, like as a special feature, but I just have never watched it.
Apparently they released like not the full length, but one with a
Right,
lot of the ad stuff like 10 years ago or something. I'm
right.
curious because I kind of want to.
Yeah,
It's
I've
apparently way more gory and has like a whole hunting scene with the family where they're like hunting like a crowd of people and just like
right.
slaughtering them all.
Or maybe I've never even seen it. Maybe I've just read about it and I'm remembering it. Because you could
It was
totally
his
picture,
acting
like,
debut.
right. You could picture what he's doing or what he's saying.
Hmm.
I also liked, I mean, I think all the characters are great because they're ridiculous. And again, it gives off that evil
LJ,
L, LG, but our boy
LG,
always
poor
spitting.
dude.
I know. He was great. Fucking Stretch is great. The family, I mean, Chop Top is probably one of the top. If you're gonna go like human horror characters in a movie, I'd say top five, maybe.
He's
Mhm.
great.
Like his whole characters, lick my plate, you dog dick.
Oh, dude. Well, and Bill Moseley did such a good job, like emulating Nubbins. Like they do
Totally.
seem like twins.
Right,
And
right.
even though those movies are so vastly different, it makes sense that he's this like Vietnam vet and he
Well,
was away when that all happened.
I mean, that completely confused me as a kid because I'm like, because
Why wasn't he there?
thought that was the hitchhiker.
Oh, same. I didn't know they were
I
twins
think
until
I
adult life.
remember.
Right,
I
right.
think I remember being confused by that as
I'm
well.
like, wait, how did he
No,
do?
Yeah.
same.
And then because they
That's
either
that's why
like
I
look
kind of thought
alike,
this movie was
Oh,
stupid.
and the
There were things I
scratching
couldn't.
stuff. I
right?
mean, they do the same things.
Like everything. I was like, oh,
I feel
whatever.
like that's what made me feel like this movie was stupid. There were things that I was like, wait, I don't understand. Wait, well, how does this connect to the? I don't. And I feel like there were a lot of things that I was a little confused by.
Yeah, seeing it as a kid, like I didn't even realize when I was a kid, I thought the cook was the dad,
Right. So did
and
I.
that Leatherface and Nubbins were the kids,
Right.
and then Grandpa. I didn't realize that there was a whole generation that was dead.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then when I saw the second one, it seems very much more apparent that the cook isn't the dad because he doesn't seem as patriarchal. I mean, he does, but it's different. Like he definitely looks more along their age
Yeah, everyone's a
range.
little older for sure. And it's more everything's more silly. He's not like god damn, you know.
Definitely. And that confused me too because I feel like the tone of him from the first to the second was so different.
Yeah, it was definitely he was creepier in the first one for sure. But again, it's the whole vibe of
Yeah,
this movie is like let's be fucking silly and
for sure.
that's the thing I liked about I like that about Tobe Hooper too. Is especially in this one, he's like, I'm just gonna have fun and make this a fun, goofy ass like horror movie. I'm
Do you
like,
think that was the right choice though for this sequel this long? Because I remember
Yeah.
this came out
Yeah.
of the 1981 reissue of them re-putting it in theaters, and it was like people went nuts over the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Do you feel, in retrospect, that was the right move to make it a black comedy? Because I didn't New Line expect this was going to be another horror movie, like straight
I mean,
horror.
I mean, honestly, Dom, like even though it's comedy, like this movie was banned in Germany until a few years ago. Like it's incredibly gory.
well,
Yeah,
there
I mean it's way more gory than the first film, technically.
he did a good job of being creepy because the whole radio station scene when uh Chop Top and Leatherface get there and he's just being all creepy out there like hey, and she's like what the fuck are you doing here, like who are
Mm-hmm.
you, and then Leatherface comes and she's running away, like that whole scene is like holy fuck, like that's a
It's
straight
scary.
horror movie
It
right
has
there
like Left House on the left vibes
for
with
sure.
the way Chop Top is. Like he's very like he's so unpredictable and just like weird. I mean, just like Nubbins was, that it gives that same kind of
Right.
feeling, even though it does have more comedy in this. I wouldn't
I
say that that scene is any less than like the car scene with the hitchhiker. It's fucking weird.
I
The
feel
colors are just so much more vivid.
right. I was just gonna say that. I feel like if it was the colors were more muted, it was more grainy, like everything
Mm-hmm.
wasn't as advanced, it would be as creepy as that scene
Totally.
from the first one. But I mean, even that
Yeah.
first with the two fucking yuppies when they're
Mm-hmm.
driving around and he's fucking dancing and he chops his head off. Like that's the scene I remember
It's
watching
gross
in the
and
hotel. I'm
scary.
like, whoa, what the fuck am I seeing right now? I loved
Yeah.
it. Right. And I mean, just all the Jim Seedow's rants through the whole thing are just hilarious. Like
Yeah.
his whole thing on about how taxes are bullshit. I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, you are so right. Fuck them. Oh, the
Let's
gov
cook.
fuck.
Let's cook and eat people. Yes.
Yeah, I was
This guy know this guy knows something.
dude, I was on board with that. I'm like, yeah, god damn it, and just everything. I really burned my beans bad on that one when he gets his fucking
Oh,
the
the
chainsaw in his
one-liners are
ass.
great.
Yeah, it's visually cool. Like I said, it's very stimulating to watch it. It just even Dennis Hopper's like super religious character.
Mhm.
It I mean, maybe if it was somebody different, it would have been better. But even that, it's still like kind of creepy where he's like having this biblical awakening and he's like, I'm gonna take them back to hell and fucking down with Satan and all that. I'm like, that's kind of that's kind of cool. But my favorite
Yeah.
one of my favorite cook lines is so Dennis Hopper, when he finally gets down into like the very bottom where they're trying to fucking stretch his head after 20 minutes of running around upstairs. He
Mm-hmm.
goes, I'm the Lord of the harvest. And the cook's
Yep.
he's like, who's that? Some new health food bunch, because he goes on a rant before
Yeah.
about how everyone's trying to be healthy and blah blah blah. But the comedic timing with that is it's so good. I'm like,
And then he thought he was with a competitor and tries to buy him off.
yeah. I'm like, the cook is the best character in this whole fucking movie. I love it.
I
He's so
forgot
good.
about
Yeah.
He's like, And there's fucking dead bodies everywhere.
Yeah, and just the
Stretches heads in a bucket because she just got fucking mashed in the head, and he's like with a handful of cash. What's it gonna cost?
completely oblivious to him being just a complete fucking psychopath. He's like, I'm just worried about the government fucking me on taxes, and I got this weirdo down here wrecking my shop, some competitor with some health food fucking company trying to take out my barbecue business. I'm like, yes, dude, you fucking rule.
That's what's happening. And I love when she picks her head up out of the bucket.
Yeah.
Like she never gets sufficiently mad at him. She's just like, Lefty. And I'm like, no, you should take everything in that bucket and throw it at his fucking head and take him out too with all these people. Like, this guy did this to you. Why are you happy to see him? He literally put you here.
Dude, the chainsaw fight scenes.
Oh yeah.
First when he buys them and
double chainsaws.
Yeah, I mean, the old guy's like, you want to go try them out? And he takes it out into the yard where they have the fucking log for him to cut. And he's not cutting, he's chopping. Now, I mean,
it's like hacking. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how long would a real chainsaw?
Yeah, Dom, there's like a Karate Kid scene of Dennis Hopper with two chainsaws and a piece of wood.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I was like,
super ridiculous.
I do remember that. That's like,
and the fact that he's carrying 3 chainsaws the entire time. I'm like, dude, that's like 100 pounds.
So heavy, so fucking heavy.
You're only like 5'6" and 130 pounds. Like, Jesus Christ. But I mean, that's part of what I love about this movie. Is it's so ridiculous. I appreciate it more now that I'm older, and when you watch it, Dom, I think you might appreciate it more because you're like, dude, this is just. It's so ridiculously good in like a funny horror splatter ridiculous way that
I will 100% watch this movie, and I will have an amended short form report on this. Hopefully people want to hear it.
The scene with it's LG?
Yeah.
Not LJ.
Yeah.
I mean, there's literally a scene where LG, who is her like co-host on the radio station, she thinks he's dead because Leatherface has been like cutting him up. Leatherface cuts off his face and finds her, and she's like, no, good, bad, whatever, and like convinces him not to kill her. And he
Leatherface
takes this face,
is such a simp for pussy.
Such a simp. And so they put her friend's face on him, on her, and then his cowboy hat on her. So she's wearing his face and cowboy hat, and Leatherface leaves. Then the guy gets up. He's still alive. He's fucking been skinned. Like organs are starting to come out, and he's just like, "Well, hey, Stretch."
By a hammer.
Like, what do you say? He's like, "Don't be scared. It's okay.
Don't be scared, darling.
It's gonna be fine, darling." And he literally gets himself up just long enough to cut her out of her restraints, and then see her wearing his face. And she doesn't know he's in there. She doesn't even know he ever like got hurt by them because she never saw him. And so now she's realizing she's in this place, and she's realizing that she's wearing his skin. Yeah. And he's like hobbling over with his guts kind of out, helping to like cut her restraints, and then he drops dead. And somehow they did this scene well enough that it is one of the funniest fucking things ever, hilarious. Even though it is so gross and traumatic. It's like,
especially because he's all Frankenstein walking, he's all like, oh, because he's skin. He's like, everything hurts.
And his face skin on her is like, because it's too big for her face, so it's like flopping and hanging off, and she's this dumb cowboy hat on while she's being emotional, and it's just like really fucking funny, but so gross.
Dude, the thing I love about what Caroline Williams did, and I thought she did it well, is giving that Sally vibe. Not as annoying as Sally in the first one, though, just because I think she's cooler, but giving that like, I'm fucking hysterical and I can't believe any of this shit's happening to me as it's happening. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, there's a lot of things that Bill Moseley, her, and even Dennis Hopper, that they kind of nail that the first one did with the characters as far as the way they act. I'm like, it
is a continuous story. I mean, although it's different, like I think that's like when Dom, you were asking if I thought they went the right way. I do,
Mhm.
because if they tried to recreate that first one, like E said, just the technology and the colors, one
Yeah.
thing is like totally different. And two, like that movie was really like kind of the first of its kind with that at that level of success. Like you can't just make a sequel and try to do the same thing because it's never going to
Right.
impact people. So they really did a good job at making a movie that also had parts in it that could definitely impact people and that you didn't see in other movies. Like yeah, it's a splatter movie, it's a dark comedy, but some of the gore and the comedic timing and the stuff, like I love Motel Hell, but this is like it on another level. Like, and they push some of the grossness. Like, I was surprised. I've seen this movie a lot, and I watched it again tonight, and I think I've forgotten how impactful the gore they used was.
Well, I feel like this is Tobe Hooper's Motel Hell with a bigger budget.
Totally.
It is. I mean, that
Right.
was his
Yeah.
response to Motel Hell was the send up of what he was doing, and
Right.
then he was like, "Oh, okay," and then came back,
Shots
which I
fired.
think is a
Yeah.
cool, which is a cool thought. It's funny that New Line had no idea what he was doing. I was like, were you just not there? Like you missed weeks of prep for this movie? Like you had no idea what was being made? I find that fascinating when people are like, yeah, they didn't know what was actually happening, were surprised at the movie they got. And I was like, how?
I
How were
mean,
you like how hands off were you?
very.
But yeah,
Oh,
I mean, it sounds like he tried to capture, you know, the time. I mean, just because it was lost on 13-year-old Dominic doesn't mean it's bad. Like I'm sure it's.
I
I'm
mean,
gonna watch. I mean, I'll
you'll
watch
watch
it.
it again. I think that you'll like it more than you remember. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it's cool too. Like he was saying, how all the characters are so good. It's cool how some of them got their roles. Like Bill Moseley
Hmm.
made a parody short film called The Texas Chainsaw Manicure and gave it to a friend, and his friend gave it to Tobe Hooper, and that's how he ended up getting this role because Tobe Hooper saw it and thought he was so good playing the hitchhiker that if he ever did a sequel and like brought the hitchhiker back, he'd hire Bill Moseley. Instead, he made a twin and hired him for it. And then the woman, she apparently, when they called her in the room, Gunner was in there because he was at the time still in talks to be Leatherface
Right.
with the director and two other people. And apparently, when they called her name, she opened the door and like went all the way to the other side of the hallway and just ran in frantically screaming, kicked Gunner out of his chair, kicked one of the other people out of their chair, started taking all the chairs and throwing them to the door to create a barricade, and just like got up against the wall and just started screaming behind it like they were trying to kill her.
Right.
And they were
right.
like, "You're hired." Like,
That's the one.
that's the way to do it.
Well,
So I mean, they definitely took the roles serious. Like the people who got these roles, like they cared about these roles.
the
Yeah.
casting was perfect. They picked the perfect people to be in this movie because you kind of both have to not give a fuck. Bill Moseley doesn't give a fuck about a lot of shit, and Caroline Williams definitely doesn't give a fuck about a lot of shit. Jim Seedow takes his role seriously, but is like a very smart actor. I mean, they're all smart actors, but like
Yeah,
they know, okay, this is where I'm going to go with this, and they play it perfectly. And I mean, funny enough, Dennis Hopper's probably the worst actor in this movie.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I recall.
Yeah. I mean,
I also love like how dated this movie is. Like when she
Yeah.
goes to see him at the hotel, like that crowd that's in the hotel, you're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, she's about to get raped. Like,
Yep.
and she's totally just like, yeah, there's a bunch of fucking cowboys in here with their shirts off, drunk, that are looking at me crazy. It's just another day at the office.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, this is all of 1986. Like, this is
Yeah.
all, which I mean, I love. I do
Same.
love it.
Yeah.
I do love it. So, Dom, is
Yeah,
there,
minus the urban cowboy sexual
Yeah.
assault feeling of that part. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love
right.
that.
I mean, you take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there we have the facts of life, kids. That's
Wow.
the facts of life.
Did not expect
Yep.
a reference to the Facts of Life theme in this episode. This episode is
Got
ridiculous.
everything.
You got everything. You got emergency salt. You got you have what else?
You should
did we
start
talk
selling
about?
emergency salt, by the way.
Food prep.
It's
horror
rescue
stories?
salt.
Rescue salt.
Rescue salt.
Literal rescue salt. You have pierogi Polish cuisine
Butter
on the West
soaked
Coast.
Butter.
Butter
pierogies,
stories. You have me not watching the film we're talking about.
handies,
Andy's.
You have handies outside of Time Bomb Toys.
or
This is
inside.
fantastic.
We
Or
don't know.
inside.
He
We have
never
no
said he
idea.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
This has been an episode. This has
Giant
really
flesh
been-
turned into pink salt. I mean,
Yeah.
it does have everything.
Wow.
And I enjoy this.
This episode has everything. And then
Dom,
now
is-
you have a facts of life reference.
Is there anything off the top of your head that you can remember that you liked about the movie before you go back and watch it and then we do a recap?
He's just gonna look. He's reaching. He's gonna make some bullshit up just to give you an answer. He
Just to
doesn't remember
appease-
anything he likes.
No,
Hey, in the cavern, there's like some cool like neon green and purple colors. Like they did
yeah.
that. It's
I
really
mean, I
pretty.
didn't remember the soundtrack. Definitely like that. Yeah, man, this movie was a movie that people made and worked on, and it came out. Yeah,
You like their hard work?
I got nothing, man. I can't. I mean, I remember just being mad about Dennis Hopper and kind of being turned off, and then
I mean,
like,
that's fair because
and then being confused at how like what happened, like how does this movie connect? So, out of respect for our audience, who is probably sitting there going like, "What the fuck? I had one
Yeah,
job."
like fuck this guy.
I'm going to recuse myself from rating this because like I came unprepared. I screwed up everybody.
Well,
So
how many candy corn do you want to give the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
3.
Since that's what you prepared for.
3.
I don't remember what we gave it.
I mean, I think we all
Um,
gave it like fours and above. I gave it a 4.5.
I feel like I might have been the lowest one on that one.
You might have just been under 4, but it was all pretty high.
Yeah. But yeah, always thought that was a little overrated. I've come to appreciate it a lot more since. I am gonna recuse myself, everyone. I think this is a monster candy first.
You know what I think is overrated? Bass.
Yeah. It's not even a real instrument, man. It's crazy. It's like 4 strings. What is it?
Like I
lute?
can literally just play low on my keyboard and hit like a number that says bass. And
You're
it's like there's a
"Bitch,
bass.
I can play bass with my left hand.
Only, yeah.
Yeah. Boo doo 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 doo. Yeah. Here's the
I'm
thing.
just kidding. Bass isn't
No, it's fine.
overrated.
It is. Whatever.
No, it's not.
So
Don't talk about your instrument that way, Dominic. God, have some self-respect and have some pride in what you do.
Which is why I'm going to do the first ever recusing myself since I was unprepared. I don't want to rate this. I don't want 13-year-old Dominic to rate this. He doesn't know anything. So I'm going to have to deliver my rating on a different one. I'm going to remember what your guys' ratings are, and I'll remind you of it when I give mine.
All right.
Oh, will you?
Yeah. So you can give an accurate thing. There's going to be a part 2. There's an asterisk on some other episode that I get to be on. If they'll have me.
You know
since I
what?
showed up not prepared for this episode because I was prepared for a whole different movie.
You can always
Outlook looking hazy.
Yeah, you can
That's
always shoot a voice text of whatever and be like, I give it a 3, and I'll just re-edit all this shit.
No, you won't re-edit all of it. How? Because you're going to try and put this episode up in a couple days. So I barely have time. I'll try and get this watched. And I'll try and get you something tomorrow. But
well, whatever.
that would be funny.
Maybe
You
it could
come
be
in
your
at the end and
Christmas
be like,
present.
Hi, this is E. The Dominic rated it. I'll do my best. That would actually be funny if I
That'd
could
be
watch
hilarious.
it tomorrow, and I'll send you a quick recording of me going like, "Okay, I've watched this film, and this is what I think."
There you go.
I'll try and do that. I'll try and do that. I will 100% try and do that. Okay.
All right.
I'm going to take that challenge tomorrow. Tuesday.
All right. Well,
Give it-
Oubliette, what are you giving this? How many candy corns?
3.25.
Ooh, okay.
Saucy.
That's even lower than I thought.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
It's
higher.
actually higher than I thought. So I
Are you sure?
I
you wanna
remember
give it like
thinking
a
it was-
3.5. I mean, it's pretty fun.
Oh, are you being me right now? I think
sure?
you're being me.
Dude,
oh, it's
Gucci-
like I'm listening to myself.
Dude, Mike Terry got me on the last one. He was like, dude, you know what? I'm like, but in my defense, when I watched The Substance, I had to go back because I couldn't remember what I gave Long Legs, and there was no way I was going to give it less than Long Legs, so I had to go
What did
back.
you give long legs? I felt like we gave long legs like a 0.25.
I gave it like a 1.5.
I
Yeah.
don't think I gave it more than like a quarter.
Yeah, no, you were like, fuck this entire movie.
Right.
Right.
That sounds about right.
And I
So,
stand behind whatever I stand behind whatever I gave it as long as it wasn't higher than 0.25.
right. Oh, yeah, it was low. And my mine should have probably been lower.
I will bump it
Yeah.
to 3.5 for you.
Okay.
Only
See?
because I guilted you in a few, like many times probably. I probably have only gotten my way once or twice, but I know at least once it worked.
Plus we gotta bump it up because when Dom finally watches the movie that
And
we're
hates it. He's
talking
gonna
about
fucking hate
today.
it.
I found
He's
it,
gonna hate
so
it
it's
so
on my
much.
list. Thank you, Tubi.
He's-
Oh yeah,
Tubi's
it's
got
on
Yeah,
Tubi.
that's what I just
Yeah.
watched it on. No, I'm even fine with 3.5. And like I said, when I saw it when I was younger, I remember it being fun, but I don't remember loving it that much. I even remember being kind of annoyed by it, which could have been because of what Don was talking about, or you were talking about just being confused. Because as with you, I thought Bill Moseley was the hitchhiker because they just look so much alike and
And act
and
alike
like,
and everything. Yeah.
and I didn't get that Nubbins was the hitchhiker because I don't think they ever call him that in the first one, do they?
No. They don't
Or if
refer
they
to him as
do, it's in
anything.
passing.
Yeah, they don't refer to him as anything except
Um,
the kids refer to him as the hitchhiker, but that's it.
right. So yeah, there was definitely some continuity stuff that I remember not really grasping. So I probably only watched it maybe like once or twice other than that since I was a kid, and
Mhm.
like probably just like at like a party or in passing, like not actually sitting down and watching it front to back.
Right.
So this was really the first time watching it in its entirety without taking a break or being social or something, that I saw it and I did like it a lot better than I remember liking it. And the acting was really good for this kind of movie. And you don't usually see that level of acting in this kind of trash.
Right.
Good
This is true.
trash.
3.5 candy corns, which is my score. 3.5
Aw.
leather-facey, nubbinsy candy corns. I think this movie's fun. There's definitely some issues with it. The ones we've discussed. The ending is the story gets a little wonky. Just the whole middle thing with Dennis Hopper just running around willy-nilly while they're just going about their business like nothing's going on. They're like, oh, he's out there, dirt's falling on him, but they're like, man, who cares? That's a little issue. And like I said, not knowing when I was younger that, like you said, the hitchhiker and Chop Top weren't the same people. So there's stuff that carries over from the youth that, like, if you don't know, you know, from the first one, or you haven't seen the first one a little bit, you might get confused. You're like, wait, because the characters are so very close to ones that
Well,
aren't in
even the
there.
kid in the wheelchair. I mean, like the wheelchair honestly alludes
Right,
to
Franklin. Yeah.
Franklin, but like also because of the ridiculousness of that wheelchair being in a completely different city and area of Texas. Like, I'm
Right.
sure as a
Well,
kid, I had no idea that what the fuck that was.
yeah, until I got older, like a lot older, really, probably late teens, maybe early 20s, that I never really caught, oh, that's Franklin. I know he's
Right.
there searching for like whatever, but it's dark too, and it's like it's not very, I don't know. You don't see it really well. I mean, there's the flashlight, and I guess I mean, never mind. I take that back. I guess you do, but it's such a, like, to me, a throwaway scene
Yeah.
in that,
It
like,
just gives Dennis Hopper a reason to like be self-righteous and get all pissy again when he should just be saving the living person
right, right. And
that's
that's, yeah,
alive and being hurt.
yeah. And that whole, like I said, that middle part, it starts to drag because it's like 20 minutes that doesn't really need to be in there. So, like, by the time Franklin comes up, I'm like, I don't, like, whatever, just get
It was
on.
like the dance scene in Terrifier 2.
Do totally.
Why is that there?
Right.
We don't know.
We don't know, but they put it in there. So yeah, 3.5 candy corns. So our tentative score is a solid 3.5, and we, at least me and Juliet, definitely think you should go see this movie if you haven't seen it yet. Give it a watch if you like fun 80s ridiculous horror.
And if you haven't seen it in a long time and maybe were a youth when you saw it, watch it again because
Maybe
I
if
was
you were-
pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, maybe if you were like 13 years old and like just hated it.
Didn't know anything about anything. It was just like,
You know,
I'm a fucking dumb
you guys-
13-year-old.
You guys have convinced me. I'm gonna watch it and see if what I think about this movie. I'm convinced.
That doesn't sound convincing.
I am convinced. I'm totally convinced. I'm gonna watch
Well,
the shit out of this
Yeah,
movie.
I think you'll enjoy it more. I think
Okay.
you'll appreciate it for sure. At least appreciate the ridiculousness of it. You may not love it. I don't think you'll love it. I think you'll be like, oh, this is like it's fun. And
I will be honest. What if I come back and you hear that in the next minute or so, you're gonna hear me record going, this fucking sucked.
I mean, hey, that's your opinion, and I
That's your
appreciate
opinion,
and
man.
respect your opinion.
All right.
You
Well,
could
I'll
be wrong,
drop it in.
but it's
I'll drop it in. I'll send it over. So,
Okay.
all right. Well, that's me.
yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Well-
1986 was a big year, Dom. You could
Yeah.
have been trying to like figure out the choreography for Dancing on the Ceiling.
Yep.
That's true. That's
You
true.
don't know.
You
So
This
don't
no.
might not have been a priority for you.
It might not have. 86, I would have been 10. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gotten to, they would not have taken me to this movie. I had to watch it later. So it was like 89. I know it was before 90.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like I said, I never got to see the full thing until probably, whenever it came out on VHS, because
Yeah, I rented it.
Yeah, give a shit about what I watched. I'd be like, that looks cool. Oh, it's rated R. Don't watch the nude scenes. Okay. And then that's
Oh yeah, I remember when my friend, my mom finally signed off at Blockbuster for Chloe and I to rent whatever VHSs we wanted because she was
Right.
tired of going over there and having to like sign us out.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck yes. And we just went down the horror aisle and started at A and would only like veto stuff every once in a while. And
Well,
just
dude,
alphabetical.
That was the best part about one of the supermarkets, grocery stores in Pittsburgh, is they had a movie section, like a movie
nice.
rental section. So anytime she would go shopping, I'd be like, I'm going to be over there. And then she'd swing back in like 20 minutes and I'd just have a stack of movies.
Hmm.
that's
She'd be like, whatever, here you go. I rented it a lot as a kid just because there's a lot of crazy kill scenes in it, like gory shit. And when you're 7
Yeah.
and 8, I'm like, well, this is nuts. Like, this is crazy. But the thing, it wasn't like, I mean, it was creepy and kind of scary, but not scary enough to be like, not like a Nightmare on Elm Street scary, where you're like, oh my God, this guy's going to kill me. This is like silly scary, but still kind of creepy and scary. So I would rent it all the time. But yeah, so we will patiently await for Dom's candy corn score.
All right. Well, it's coming. It's coming.
But thanks for coming and just hanging out and, coasting
Glad to do
along.
it. glad to be on for the ride. So
Yeah.
Nice to have you back.
Yeah. Good to be back. Dom.
I will try and make an entertaining PS. You're all gonna hear it in a minute. So
Yeah.
right.
Everybody, hope you eat a shit ton of food
And salt.
And salt. Don't forget your
Pierogies.
salt and your Thanksgiving pierogies. 'Cause that's what
Oh,
really
actually,
matters.
the place here makes Thanksgiving pierogies with
I mean,
stuffing
as
and
they
turkey
should.
in them.
Fuck.
And she has cranberry ones this week.
There
So you can
you
get the
go.
sweet and the savory.
Yeah, and honestly, folks, a good, solid, well-made pierogi. Mrs. T's pierogies are not bad. I mean, you get the potato and cheese ones. You garnish
They're
them up
fine.
with lots of butter, a little bit of garlic, some onions, salt for sure.
Sour cream.
Yep, you're
and the
good to
sour
go.
creamer.
Gotta fry them. Get them a little crispy, not too crispy, just a little bit. Get that little crisp on them. Chef's kiss. But anyway, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Dom for coming back and not watching the movie.
yeah,
doing
I'm
the
not.
episode.
I'm not gonna say goodbye because you're gonna hear my voice in 1 second.
And I watched the movie right before we got on, so
See?
gold
Fuck yeah.
star for
Hello,
me.
Mr.
Yeah.
Gold star for me.
But we'll check you out later, everybody, and see you on the next episode of Mr. Kenny Podcast.
Okay, everyone, I'm back. This is Dominic recording my post script since I've finally seen that pile of monkey shit that called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 they wanted me to watch, and I did. Okay, first off, a correction. I don't know where we got that Lefty was their uncle. I know that I saw that somewhere, but I obviously read that wrong, and we got that wrong. Lefty is obviously Sally and Franklin's brother, half brother maybe, or step brother, but definitely a brother. Sally is catatonic. I assume that means she's in a coma, so they were never able to find the murderers, so that's why this is rolling over into this. I don't know why they brought Franklin's skeletal corpse, but it does seem like the Sawyers like to bring a bunch of trophies with them wherever they go. Yeah, okay, so the movie, I definitely think it takes place in a time, it's definitely of the 80s, they like the oddball comedies were really popular back then, they like the farce, there was a certain amount of black comedy to it, but to me, it felt very overacted. It was, I hate to be that guy, but I think it's just, it's like a high school play, everybody's overacting so high, there's no depth to it. Everybody's just going crazy the whole time and screaming at the top of their lungs over the top of each other. So I felt like it was I realized why 13-year-old me didn't like it. That said, looking at it later with eyes a little bit more mature, I see the absurdity of it and the charm, I guess, to a degree. But it's really not my kind of thing, which is really funny. I know why it would be Oubliette's thing. I know why Screaming E would like it. But to me, it's kind of a piece of shit. That's not to say I didn't laugh at it a few times. I think it's definitely of the time, but it kind of undoes the parts about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I don't love Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that's probably part of the problem. It kind of undoes the parts of Texas Chainsaw Massacre that I liked, and then just leans into the absurd that I know other people like. So I'm not a monster. So even while I think this is a piece of shit, I definitely see why a lot of people would enjoy it and get a kick out of it. I definitely see that Rob Zombie was highly influenced by this film in particular, more than Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first movie, but definitely this movie, I think, was really impactful for Rob Zombie back in 1986. Yeah, so ultimately, if I had to give it some candy corns, I'm going to weigh in at 2 candy corns. One would be irredeemable for me, and it's not even worth watching. I think some people will like it. I'm not the guy for it. I'm sorry I'm not the guy for it, but I like things a little bit more. I don't know, more. What did I like about it? It's an 80s movie, and it's of the time. Honestly, I think Dennis Hopper was actually the least insane part of this movie, so I thought he grounded it kind of decently. Yeah, okay, yeah, so 2 candy corns. Yeah, alright, thanks guys. Yeah, see it if you want. If you like black comedy and absurdist horror, it's in your alley, not mine. If you're like me and like darker demonic monster stuff, it's not gonna necessarily be your thing. So that's it, 2 candy corns. Thanks a lot, everybody. Jesus Christ, at least it didn't have Nicolas Cage. That's what I liked about it. It didn't have Nicolas Cage in it. All right, take care, everybody. See you next time.
Groovy.
looks that big old storm right square in the eye and he says, "Get away from her, you bitch!"
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Your move, creep.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.